beginning, they were just grayscale, and the darker was cooler and white, lighter was hotter. But it's kind of hard to make out objects. So edge detection is a set of AI algorithms that are beyond my skill set, but that distinguish what is the edge of a desk or a chair or the outline of a body, so that there's less cognitive load on trying to figure out what we're looking at. It's just outlines. It's like a wireframe. How much faster might you be on a search and rescue? So there's a known victim. Engine 1 arrives and goes on a search and rescue at the traditional system, and then they use the see-through system. And they were significantly faster. And maybe more importantly, it was their confidence level. Because anyone who's crawled down the hallway in the dark with heat overhead, especially, both as a firefighter and as a company officer in the leadership role, there's a significant amount of stress and cognitive load, and it'd be great to have some of that left over to do more listening. Like, what should I be listening to that I can't be hearing? We did have the best tools in the beginning. The fact that we had a two-way radio when I started and all phones were hardwired. There were no cell phones, right? And I mean, homes did have cordless phones fairly early in my career, but they only had a reach of maybe 100 feet or something like that. So we had the best, but tech is moving so quickly now. And I think they say, well, if a new fire truck is $1 million, oh my gosh, and I started to look at the numbers because I felt badly about that. And then I thought, well, divided by how many citizens are in the community, that worked out to, I think it was $20 a citizen. No, I'm sorry, it was $4 a citizen over 20 years. So, and I did the math on, well, how much did we spend each year? The budget for the fire department was $253 per person per year. And to have 40 people at your disposal 24/7 for $250, that's a pretty good insurance policy. What to do, especially in a wind-driven fire, what are we going to do? And if there's an option for people to share their location, right? If we're having calls for rescue in the structure, we have a known rescue. Someone's trapped in the back bedroom, but we don't know the layout of the building, and we don't know the condition of the patient. And so sadly, people are texting their loved ones to say goodbye. So in that moment, if we could have we can. It needs to be done to integrate. The people can communicate directly to the truck crew with the circular saw, who's on the other side of the wall, who really is highly motivated, educated, and trained, and capable of cutting a hole in the wall. They just need to know where. And so these are the opportunities that are so inspiring. And so I'll give you the links to NASA JPL's program, Audrey. So over a couple of days, we did these 5 fires for them, and it fed their AI. And so they, you and I and, veteran firefighters can watch a video, and maybe in a matter of a few seconds, based on the pressure of the black smoke and, the thermal column, and we're like, oh, that thing's going to flash. Or, we see a video of somebody goes and they make the door, they open the door, oh, that thing's hot. All it's going to need is that oxygen. It's going to flash. And, well, the AI program is there now and what if they could predict it? If we could predict it, say, 3 or 4 seconds before it flashes, what if they could predict it 60 seconds before or 2 minutes before? People wanted to 3D scan their homes, either scan or photogrammetry or other tools that can map our home in 3D. They'll do that to see if the new couch will fit from the big box store. People are using spatial computing. It's not a linear thing. thing. And whether you watch proper football or American football, that now we have spatial computing in sports where it's being real time broadcast in 3 dimensions. It will end in 4D, meaning spatial temporal. It has the space and it has the time. You can rewind in 3D in sports and be there in VR, be on the 50-yard line or mid pitch line for golf, cricket, football, rugby, any sport that's possible. So how do we turn our domain, the public safety first response domain, into a live spatial computing ecosystem rather than simply two-way voice? I think the future firefighter, first responder, emergency medical service provider is going to be equipped with all sorts of wearables that are technologically enabling to save lives in ways we never might have imagined with two-way voice. So yeah, something like Iron Man, Iron Fire, Iron First Responder. The evolution from two-way voice, I certainly remember when only the company officer, the captain or lieutenant, had a radio. And when everyone got a radio, then it was, oh, well, that'll make a huge difference with the loss of firefighters in the line of their work. And then we found out, well, it's complicated. It's great because they do have a radio, but there's so much more that still needs to be done in what has traditionally been a laborious thing. Regardless of technology, first responders they're going to sweat on the job. It's going to be hard work. And so how do we move forward? In the US alone, there's 700,000 calls a day to our emergency response centers, our public safety answering points. And about 99% of those work out all right, meaning that people survive. 1%, they don't. So that's about 7,000 US souls a day who are lost. And now, we're not going to save everyone, but could we save one? And around the world, I think the rate is something upwards of 100 souls a minute are lost. And a little more than half of the humans on the planet are connected. Of the 8 billion souls, there's about 4.5 billion are connected, but on 50 billion devices. So as we move from basic land mobile radio, right? We have towers and repeaters, and we have heavy radios on our equipment, and we key up the microphone, and okay, great, I believe I'm transmitting. And then hopefully we get a copy, a read back from the other party. Yeah, engine one, copy, you're stretching a line and making an attack. And then break, engine two, water supply, backup line. And it's over the old school radio, if you will. How could we use 3D technologies to save lives? And I was invited to the Game Developers Conference in San Francisco, and 30,000 gamers were there. And that's not, back in the day we had pinball, and we had a game called Pong, Atari Pong. But other than that, no gaming for me. But I looked who was going, and some big enterprise teams were attending, and I thought, well, those teams know where callers are in the time of need. Just in 2D, right? At the time, I was working in a rural community, and we might spend 20 minutes trying to find a patient who was critically low blood sugar and hadn't been seen in a few days and was in a remote location, and just trying to find the caller was hard. And yeah, the big enterprise teams and communications teams, they know in part where folks were. And again, this is saying now, almost a decade ago on this, that I shifted gears and started having conversations about what's next.